Putin Bad News. Vampire Zombies. How in the span of 120 days, British jets intercepted nearly 50 Russian fighter planes. During their 4-month deployment in the Baltic, pilots from the United Kingdom's Royal Air Force, RAF, Lossiemouth were kept busy intercepting some 50 Russian fighter jets. Members of the 140th Expeditionary Air Wing, 140 EAW, were deployed to Estonia to aid in NATO airspace patrol operations, and the crew was among them. During these missions, the pilots routinely performed quick reaction alerts, QRAs, in their armed RAF Typhoon jets. According to a statement released by the British Ministry of Defence, MOD, members of 140 Expeditionary Air Wing, 140 EAW, have been deployed to Mari Air Base since the beginning of March, along with a squadron of RAF Typhoon fighter jets, to conduct quick reaction alert, QRA, intercepts of Russian aircraft transiting close to NATO airspace. When the airspace or an area of interest of a NATO country is breached, the standard operating procedure is to send out a fighter to carry out the quick reaction alert. The pilots of the Royal Air Force must work in tandem with the RAF's command and control facilities to accomplish this. Several such violations have been documented since the outbreak of hostilities in Ukraine, occasionally leading to non-threatening interceptions and occasionally leading to unwarranted engagements. The UK Ministry of Defence statement mentioned the RAF codename Zombie for a suspicious Russian plane. That's at least 50 zombies the RAF had to deal with in just 120 days of patrolling the Baltic during their 4-month deployment. Over the course of 21 days, British pilots successfully intercepted 21 planes, including long-range bombers and spy planes. After leading NATO's Baltic air policing mission in Estonia for 4 months, during which time pilots intercepted 50 Russian aircraft for a total of more than 500 hours of flight time, Royal Air Force personnel have returned to the UK, as reported by the Ministry of Defence. When tensions between NATO members and Russia over the conflict in Ukraine were at an all-time high, the RAF embarked on a mission known as Operation Azovstal. During their transit through international airspace, Russian military aircraft were followed by Typhoon pilots from Squadrons X, Bomber, and 1, Fighter. According to the UK Ministry of Defence, the RAF maintained operation coordination with the Portuguese and Romanian air forces, who together commanded the NATO air policing mission in Lithuania. NATO forces, for their part, have ramped up patrols in the area and held multiple military drills since fighting broke out in Ukraine. When the mission was over and the RAF pilots and ground crew had returned home, the British Defence Minister said, the UK's successful leadership of NATO's air policing mission in Estonia, resulting in the interception of dozens of Russian aircraft by the RAF, sends a strong message to Putin that we stand united with our allies against any threat to our borders. Since the Ukraine conflict began in February 2022, it has become increasingly common for Russian fighter jets to hover near NATO airspace and come into direct contact with NATO aircraft. This has been clear in the rare occurrences of aerial conflict. An RC-135 Rivet joint surveillance plane almost started a war with Russian Su-27 flankers of the Russian Aerospace Force in late September of last year over the Black Sea, off the coast of Crimea. A Russian fighter jet allegedly released a missile near a British aircraft in international airspace over the Black Sea, according to an announcement made at the time by British Defence Secretary Ben Wallace. "We are incredibly lucky that the episode did not become worse," Wallace said. In the same statement, Wallace claimed that Russian fighter jets had flown dangerously close to a NATO plane, coming within 15 feet, 4.6 meters. Leaked Pentagon documents referred to as near shoot-down of UKRJ, revealed that a Russian Su-27 fighter jet nearly shot down the British spy aircraft, an incident that was forgotten within a few months as the war picked up steam. According to the documents, the Russian fighter jet pilot had acquired a lock on the British plane, misunderstood the ground radar operator's order to fire, and narrowly missed their target due to a malfunctioning missile. A second British Rivet joint, this time accompanied by 2 British Typhoon fighter jets, was intercepted by Russian jets that came within 100 feet of the British aircraft on December 30. This incident was just one of many described in the leaked Pentagon document detailing Russian responses to surveillance flights by American, British, and French aircraft between October and the end of February. Furthermore, in March of 2023, Russian Su-27 flankers shot down an American MQ-9 Reaper drone over the Black Sea, which could have led to an unprecedented escalation of hostilities. After this, the Russian fighters went after a Ukrainian Air Force Bayraktar TB2 drone. Despite its distance from the front lines, the airspace over the Baltic Sea has been subject to frequent incursions by Russian military aircraft. Rapidly, the area escalated into a battleground between Russia and NATO. In particular, during the months of April and May, both NATO and the Russian Air Force have accused the other of violating their airspace. The RAF Typhoons have recently relocated to a forward airbase in Finland for Exercise Jutsen Strike, and in that time they have participated in several military drills and intercepted 50 Russian aircraft over the Baltic.